A Freeport native taking center stage in Division I college basketball, the Data Protection Commissioner cautioning against the tabling of private emails in Parliament, and two men allegedly connected to Canadian fashion designer Peter Nygaard arrested by police. We've got these stories and others. I'm your host, Nico Scavella, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. Buddy Hield, star guard for the Oklahoma Sooners and Grand Bahama native, has taken the world by storm by leading his team to the NCAA Final Four tournament. Hield, the senior guard and Grand Bahama native, led his Oklahoma Sooners to the championship in the West region and a berth in the Final Four after scoring 37 points to lead his team to an 80-68 win over the number 1 ranked Oregon Ducks in Anaheim, California. It marks Oklahoma's first trip to the Final Four since the 2001-2002 season. He became the 5th Bahamian to reach the Final Four following Houston's Lyndon Rose in 1982, North Carolina's Rick Fox in 1992, LSU's Magnum Roll in 2006, and Michigan State's Laurel's Tum Tum Nairn Jr. in 2015. Hield and the Sooners are now set to play the number 2 seed and South Region champions Villanova Wildcats on Saturday night in a matchup that will be broadcast live on TBS. Hield is a 2-time Big 12 Player of the Year, as well as this year's recipient of the U.S. Basketball Writers Association Oscar Robertson Trophy, which honors the Division I Player of the Year. Hield has also been named Player of the Year by Sporting News and CBS Sports. Hield has been on fire for the Sooners this season, reaching the 30-point mark 12 times and matching his career high in 3-point goals made in his 37-point outburst, his third highest point total of the season. In January, he scored a career-high 46 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists in a triple overtime thriller against the Kansas Jayhawks. On the year, Hield is averaging 25 points per game for the Sooners and is projected to be a top 10 pick in this summer's NBA draft. Hield's impressive play has also managed to gain the admiration of Los Angeles Lakers star Kobe Bryant, who has called Hield, and I quote, a great player, end quote. Maurice Moore, considered one of the founding fathers of the Free National Movement, this week defended F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis as an honest man, saying he saw no reason for Dr. Minnis to resign over his admission that he met 3 times with one of 2 men at the heart of an alleged murder-for-hire plot involving Canadian millionaire Peter Nygaard. Last week, Dr. Minnis revealed for the first time that he met with Livingston Toogie Bullard at his home in West New Providence. He told the Tribune he first met with Bullard at his home, where he was told to pass on a message to former F&M chairman and Senator Michael Pintar that he was about to be set up by high-ranking members of the government. Dr. Minnis said Bullard, who was his constituent, gave him fish on the other 2 occasions that they met. Dr. Minnis was adamant that the 2 men never discussed Mr. Nygaard. Nonetheless, his admission, which came a week after he called for a police investigation into the claims about Mr. Nygaard, reportedly angered certain circles of the party. A trusted source told the Tribune on Monday that veteran F&Ms and staunch supporters are angered at Dr. Minnis' handling of the controversial matter, arguing that as party leader he should not have been involved in the situation. However, Mr. Moore said he does not see why anyone would be upset over the matter, and further stressed that Dr. Minnis did nothing wrong and had no involvement in the alleged murder-for-hire plot. He was also adamant that Dr. Minnis should remain party leader, despite reported internal calls for him to step down over his handling of the matter. Mr. Moore said, and I quote, I don't think the leader should resign. He's not involved. If someone calls him and said a trap is set for Pintard and he said, look, this is what I've been told, where's the harm in that? The leader didn't have to say it, but I think he was very frank. He is honest and straightforward. He advised him not to go, but he didn't do anything beyond that, end quote. Police fatally shot 2 men in the Sunset Park area on Thursday evening following a short chase and shootout, according to police reports. According to Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean, officers on patrol in the Carmichael Road area noticed a sedan being driven in a suspicious manner and instructed the vehicle to stop. He said that in an effort to evade officers, however, the driver sped off in the direction of Wendell Drive and Anthony Lane. The driver then reportedly pulled into the driveway of a nearby property, and both he and the passenger exited the vehicle with, and I quote, blazing handguns. ACP Dean said the men exchanged gunfire with the officers, resulting in both being fatally shot. When the Tribune arrived on the scene, the body of one male could be seen near the rear of the vehicle on Anthony Lane, while the other man's body was around the block on the front lawn of a home on Wendell Drive. ACP Dean subsequently renewed the Royal Bahamas Police Force's plea to the public to assist officers with ridding the streets of criminals. He said the country should not allow for, and I quote, persons who are hell-bent, despite the warnings, despite the pleas, to put away the guns, persons who are hell-bent on committing crime, end quote. ACP Dean also said RBPF officers remain dedicated and ready to respond to all matters in an effort to keep the general public safe. Data Protection Commissioner Charmy Farrington-Austin this week cautioned against the practice of obtaining the emails of private citizens and tabling them in the House of Assembly in response to several complaints regarding private emails that were recently tabled by Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald. Last month, while contributing to the mid-year budget debate, Mr. Fitzgerald read from private emails exchanged between members of Save the Bays. These included Grand Bahama attorney Fred Smith, entertainer Kirkland K.B. Bodie, public relations specialist Diane Phillips, environmentalist Ramal Ferreira, and Joseph Darville, in addition to former FNM chairman and Senator Michael Pintard. At the time, Mr. Fitzgerald claimed Save the Bays masquerades as an environmental watchdog group, but has used millions of dollars to entrap Canadian millionaire Peter Nygard in an alleged murder-for-hire plot to ultimately destabilize the government. He later tabled the documents in Parliament. Mrs. Farrington-Austin, however, in a statement earlier this week, said such actions are, and I quote, a most dangerous trend and leave society open to chaos, end quote. She said the relevant data protection issue in this matter concerned whether anyone gained unauthorized access to the emails before they were tabled in Parliament. However, she revealed that none of the parties allegedly affected by the tabling of the emails has made any direct complaint to the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. Nonetheless, Mr. Fitzgerald, along with Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell, released a joint statement stating that while they have no comment on Mrs. Farrington-Austin's personal views on the matter, her statement and commentary in the absence of a formal complaint is, and I quote, indeed curious, end quote. They also deny that either of them was party to any unauthorized access to emails. The two men at the center of an alleged murder-for-hire plot involving Canadian fashion designer Peter Nygard have been arrested and are now in police custody, according to Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade. Mr. Greenslade said Livingston, Toogie Bullard, and Whistler Bobo de Vilma were arrested in the wee hours of Wednesday morning at two separate locations in New Providence. However, he did not provide further details. Last month, however, Mr. Greenslade told reporters that he had launched an investigation into allegations that Mr. Nygard orchestrated a murderous plot against his billionaire neighbor Louis Bacon and lawyer Fred Smith, his chief opponents in an ongoing campaign against development at Nygard Key. Mr. Greenslade had said that the independent investigation would determine whether there is anything of a criminal nature that the Royal Bahamas Police Force should be pursuing. He also said last month that he received no complaints from anyone mentioned in the 400-page affidavit filed by Save the Bays who claimed their lives were threatened. He also previously said he had not received any reports from anyone who had information of someone doing a wrong deed, and that as a result of this investigation, several persons, and I quote, could be arrested and charged or worse, end quote. According to court documents filed by several directors of Save the Bays on March 9th, Bullard and de Vilma identified themselves as high-profile gang members and alleged that Mr. Nygard gave them a hit list of people to murder or send a message to. Both Prime Minister Perry Christie and Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis's names were mentioned in secret recordings between Mr. Nygard, Bullard, and de Vilma. The recordings were part of Save the Bays' court filing. The affidavit alleges the two men, allegedly hired by Mr. Nygard, were sent to him by Mr. Davis to protect Mr. Nygard's local interests as a major campaign backer of the Progressive Liberal Party. 2, 1. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website, www.tribune242.com, like us on Facebook, Tribune News Network, subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242, or send us a tweet at Tribune242.